Welcome back, everybody. WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. Getting you ready for Temple and USF. That comes your way on Saturday night at 7 p.m. Now joining us on the official Temple University Football Coaches Show, fresh off a 60-point performance down south in Texas, and that's the offensive coordinator of your Temple Football Owls, and that's Marcus Satterfield on the official Temple University Football Coaches Show, powered by Peerless Boilers. Peerless builds America's best boilers. Coach Sat, Zach Gelb here. Thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, we thank you for coming on today. That was an impressive performance by your offense down there against SMU. What allowed your offense to have so much success and score 60 points?
It wasn't, during the game, it didn't really feel like we were dominating the game or really doing, kind of some games you have like that, you feel like you can do, call anything and it's working. Didn't really feel like that. Most of the game had three and outs in a row. And I think just, it all goes back to our plan to win and patience in the run game and be willing to outlast an opponent for 4 quarters and keep, delivering the body blows throughout the run game and some play action shots and to see, challenge teams that we play to go for 4 quarters. And so far it's, worked out. Other than Notre Dame worked out in our advantage that we can pull away in the end and get, usually 1 or 2 touchdowns in the fourth, which I think allowed us to separate. And the, Champ's interception return was huge to get us at 60. So it was a good night.
P.J. Walker, your quarterback, a big point of emphasis in the offseason was to eliminate those turnovers, and for the most part this season he has done that. But in the last 2 games, he's been 31 of 55, Coach, 456 yards, 5 touchdowns through the air, 1 interception, and 1 rushing touchdown. He's been a really good quarterback for you these last 2 games. How would you evaluate his play in these last 2 games, and how impressed are you with your quarterback?
Very impressed. I think he's playing at a very high level. I think he's been building towards this. I don't think he was playing terrible to start the season. I think he was just kind of getting into our new philosophical view on how to play offense. I think he's been very patient, throughout the process. He keeps grinding away at situational football and understanding situational football, and it's the last 2 weeks has really showed his maturity and where he is and where he's developing as a quarterback. But doing an unbelievable job. He's got the 1 interception at the end of the Notre Dame game. Other than that, he's really taking care of the football. When he runs it, when he throws it. You saw him a couple times in the SMU game. He got on the perimeter towards the end of the game. Instead of going out of bounds, he slid and rolled, understanding the clock was rolling, and we wanted to take as much time as we could at the end of the game. But things like that, little things that he couldn't have done this time last year, that just a year older, and you see the maturation from where he started to where he is now, and it's really, really awesome to see. Excited, to see where it ends up, because I think he's going to get better and better and better. So, hopefully we get a couple more games going here and see what he can do, but we're very, very pleased with him.
The football team, they brought in a new quarterback coach in the offseason in Glenn Thomas, who came over from the Atlanta Falcons. How has Glenn developed P.J. Walker? What has P.J. learned from Glenn about playing the quarterback position?
I think just a very calming effect. I think, anybody that's ever met Glenn is understood. He's very low-key, doesn't really say much unless he needs to. I think that personality trait has been good for PJ in that room. I think just the knowledge of being at the highest level. He's coached in a Pro Bowl before. He's coached in an NFC Championship game. He's coached Matt Ryan. He's coached some of the best quarterbacks in the country. So I think being able to understand those types of quarterbacks, how to coach them, how to relate to them, and then transfer that over to to PJ and to start to develop. He saw PJ's strengths and his weaknesses, and has really geared his coaching and his techniques towards strengthening his weaknesses and keeping his strengths as strong as they can possibly be. So it's been really cool to watch. I learn as much or more than PJ does every day. It's really neat to have Glenn with us. And, words really cheapen what he's meant to us as a football team thus far, and for PJ.
From my observations, last year, P.J. Walker, at times it felt like he was trying to do a little bit too much, and he didn't have the depth around him, and that's what forced an interception. This year you have that depth at the wide receiver position. How much does that depth just take some pressure off P.J. Walker and make him feel comfortable in the pocket?
I think it's huge. I think it's the rushing game, the running the football, that's really slowed it down for him. I think having the receivers that can get open in man coverage is definitely a bonus, compared to some of the depth issues we had last year. But I think just having Jihad and having offensive line running the football, and teams can't just play 7 in the box against us with the formations and personnel groups we put on the field. So I think that has allowed teams not to just play six-man boxes, play cover two-man brackets from guys, play press the whole game. I mean, they're having to fit all the run schemes we're throwing at them, which is opening up the perimeter and allowing our guys to get open for some big plays down the field. And PJ's done a phenomenal job of being able to connect on those. Even though we've had some drops, he's still connecting and hitting them exactly where he needs to hit them. But, I think that just a year later, being in that more controlled offense has helped PJ just not having to think that, like you said it best, do everything himself. And, sometimes that's hard to put on a sophomore in college to try to go make as many plays as we were asking him to make last year.
Kip Patton has been a nice piece to this football team, and I know he didn't play last week because of some academic reasons, and Colin Thompson does a good job blocking as a tight end on that, as an extra lineman on that offensive line. Would you like to see a little bit more out of your tight ends in the passing game, though, Coach?
We would, yes. And I think, last week, man, we were really excited about how Sal Major and how Colin Thompson played. I mean, they both caught some balls. Colin caught a huge naked, got killed after he had kept his feet in bounds, and has done. Both of those guys have done a phenomenal job of blocking, running routes. Both of them are very accountable. Both of them are very just. They show up every day for work and really have helped move this offense along. Without those guys and Kip, then we wouldn't be able to run the football as well as we were. And I think, like you just said, I think moving forward we got to get them more in a little bit more controlled passing game. I think that'll build as we continue to build our offense. But was really pleased with the our two tight ends last week and how they played and blocked and caught the ball.
Marcus Satterfield is our guest, the offensive coordinator for Temple football on the Temple University Football Coaches Show, powered by Peerless Boilers. Peerless builds America's best boilers. Jihad didn't start last week, but he did eventually get into the game and went over 70 yards on the field. What's the latest on his health?
He's still, a little banged up, but he'll go on Saturday, and he's had a really good week of practice. And we got to be smart and not beat him up during the week, but make sure he's fresh going into Saturday, because a fresh Jihad allows us pretty good offensively. So, I expect him to be as full strength as any tailback, college tailback can be going into game 10 or whatever game it is that we're going into. And, he's got a good cast behind him. You see Jagger coming in last week with the run. And you see David Hood had a phenomenal day of practice this morning. We challenged him with some pass pro things, and he did great. And, and then Raquel's been a little banged up here and there, but, we expect big things from Raquel when he's out on the field.
And your running backs have been a big part of this team, and there's been more of a commitment to rushing the football. But right now the offensive line is banged up. Kyle Friend is going to go again this week. He missed last week. And when you lose a guy like Kyle, you want to see how the communication is on the offensive line. How was the communication last week down south against SMU?
It was. I mean, I'm sure it was better than it ever was last year at any point, but it wasn't. It wasn't at the standard in which we've been playing up to last week. I think. That's kind of, we anticipated that. I think, we made some adjustments at halftime to clean up some of the communication. I think we've made a huge commitment to it this week during practice, and spending just as much time as communicating with each other up front and with the backs and with the quarterbacks than we have as much time, with just the physical components of a play. So I think that we're going to be ready. I think the communication will be a lot better. Brandon did a great job at center. That's a hard role to step into, at any point in your life, whether it's starting the season and you practice the whole camp, or during the middle of the season or during the middle of the game. And we're really, really pleased with how he played and how he handled the situation. And I think we'll be a little bit better there, especially with the communication this week.
Kyle's such a leader, and he's a guy that is one of those first guys in, last guys out of the facility, and it must really kill him not to be able to play. How does he still help the football team, even though he can't contribute on the field because of the injury?
He's basically the assistant O-line coach at this point. He goes out to practice, he coaches the guys, he watches one side of the line, Coach Weizan watches the other. He coaches them hard. They listen. I mean, they listen to him when he talks anyway. So it's been good for Kyle. I think when we get him back and get him going, I think it'll make him better just being on this side of it and just slowing down and seeing it, not playing it but seeing it, and then he's gonna be a heck of a coach one day for sure.
Wrapping up with Marcus Satterfield on the official Temple University Football Coaches Show, powered by Peerless Boilers. This USF team, they're very underrated, and they're going to be a big challenge for you on Saturday, and a win would get you guys a spot in that conference championship game on December 5th. What are some challenges about this USF defense that you see when you prepare for them?
I think very physical. They're front four. I got three seniors within the four-man rotation. I got couple really, athletic, long linebackers. But their front four guys, we got to be very creative in how we protect PJ. We've got to do a better job of protecting him, and even though we're getting passes off, keeping the hits off of him. So the front four is really, really dangerous for us. Could wreck our game plan. So we've got a good plan put in place to attack them, and then we've got a couple contingency plans if things start to go awry.
The defense, though, they've struggled, going up against a mobile quarterback. How do you guys help the defense out in preparation for this week when preparing for a guy like Quinton Flowers who could kill you both through the air and on the ground?
We've got we let a couple different. Logan Marchie's athletic. He can run zone read and moves around. He's an above-average athlete at quarterback, and we got a couple receivers that young guys. Cortrell Simpson's done a great job of acting like the opponent's quarterback, mocking the opponent's quarterback from week to week. So I think they've gotten a great look at that. And PJ doesn't ever go away from us to go over there and help them or anything. But we've got some athletic guys I think that can replicate what they're going to face.
If you're able to get that win this Saturday, that would punch you guys in the spot for the American Athletic Conference Championship game. What would that mean to this program?
I mean that next week's game's even bigger. That's our goal, and to get in the conference championship game and to win the conference championship. The coolest thing about our football team right now is the maturation from our first year here, from a coaching staff, from seeing Coach Rule, mature as a head coach, to our players mature, to us as staff mature, and I'm pretty sure we'll have to remind our kids that we are in the conference championship game, because after the game they'll be ready to enter our mantra of what's next and enter our process and enter our plan to win. And it's amazing, and it sounds like words, and just sounds like something you'd read on a wall on a poster, but our kids truly believe it, and they're truly like that. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever been around. So we'll celebrate it, I'm sure, if we do ever get there at the end of the year. But what's next? That's the mentality that we have.
Coach, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's always fun to talk to you.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.